set was closed, monitors humming quietly. A romantic scene where Wan had run away with Jimin from her engagement ceremony was being shot under golden lighting. Wan's character was acting panic as per the scene demand, whereas Jimin stood composed but in love with her, as always. What the hell did I just do? Shaky, whispering. Her back is pressed against the wall, her breath shaky. Her wedding bangles clatter slightly from the tremble in her hands. She is still in her ruined engagement dress, torn at the hem, soaked from rain. Her mascara-smudged eyes are wide, like she just escaped a nightmare. Jimin locks the door behind them, his chest rising and falling. Adrenaline pumping. Panicked. I can't breathe. What did I do? I left in front of everyone. He's going to come after me. Firm but still calm to her. Calm down, love. Take deep breaths. He gently holds her shoulders and guides her to the bed. Making her sit on the bed, he sits on her knees in front of her, holds her hands, and traces the back of her palm with his thumb to ease her tension, all the while looking directly in her eyes with all the respect and love this world has to offer. I am here, softly whispered. He can't harm you until I am alive. Still trembling, then he'll unalive you first. Voice cracking. You don't understand what he's like behind closed doors. He doesn't scream. He doesn't hit. He just stares, like I'm his property. In a fit of panic, she takes her hand out of his and presses her fist to her mouth, trying to hold herself together. He doesn't even ask. He just takes. Jimin's jaw clenches as he quietly snaps. If I could rip you away from him, in front of his guests, his cards, with his goddamn ring on your finger, then trust me, I can keep you out of his reach for the rest of his miserable life too. Saying this without realizing, his hand took her, landing on her thigh, as he forgot for a moment that they were filming a scene, as the emotions felt too real. Vine's eyes were about to pop out of her socket, as this wasn't in the script, but she recovered like a pro and covered her expressions with a small gasp of choked up emotions and placed her hand on his. Shaking head, he won't stop. He's not loud. He's not violent. He's worse. He's calm. Like he already knows you can't win against him. Saying this, she pushed his hand slightly enough to make it slide off of her thigh. Voice steady, eyes locked. Then let him stay calm, while I tear everything he owns apart, starting with the delusion that he ever had you. He got up on his feet, pat her head lovingly and went away. And cut. Nailed it. That's a wrap on scene 37. Clapping hands. Meanwhile, Taehyung was standing by the monitors all this time, dressed in his character already. Black tailored suit, black as hair. He didn't flinch, didn't speak, but his eyes had already burned the scene into ashes. Lush suicide for villains and Vine's confrontation scene. In this scene, villain has got his hands on Vine after Jimin's sudden disappearance that was caused by no one else but him. Cameras roll. Black sky, crashing waves below. Wind whipping Vine's hair across her face like a wild flame. Vine stands at the very edge of the cave, eyes sharp, looking straight at him. The wind tugs at her dress, but she doesn't move. In character, you think jumping off saves you from me. Cold. He approaches her with slow, deliberate footsteps on the road. His black coat flaps violently. The look in his eyes, icy, possessive, wrathful, staring. No, but it guarantees you never get to touch me again. She was about to take a step back that could potentially be her last before her fall, but Taehyung stopped and so does she. His voice lowers to a dangerous level. You belong to me. Sounded more like a threat than a statement. I never did. And if you take one more step towards me, then I'll make sure you lose more than just your mind this time. Eyes blazing. Within a blink, Taehyung leaped at her and grabbed her wrist in his iron grip. Dangerously calm. You're coming with me, even if I have to drag you over these broken rocks. Eyes blazing. I'd rather bleed on every stone than ever be yours. She yanks her wrist free and shoves him back. The energy is raw. The crew leans in, thinking it's still acting. Then something changed. All of a sudden, he snapped. Before Vine could react, he grabbed her face and not in the script, not rehearsed. The sound team gasped. The director jumped out of his chair. Someone shouted, "Cut!" but no one moved. Vine shoved him off, hard. Her lips were red, eyes wide with shock and disgust. Roared at his face. What the hell is wrong with you? That was not in the script. Neither was his hand on your thigh. Flat. The whole set was frozen. The director stumbles back from the monitor, mouth open, but he says nothing. Nobody dares to say a word. Jimin storms in from behind the camera, jaws tight, fists clenched. Ready to fight, however, he stopped when, breathing hard, voice shocked, think you can, without warning, without consent, and call it acting? Guess what? That's called desperation wrapped in ego. She shoves him back hard, eyes locked on his. Next time you forget the script, don't expect me to stick to mine either.
Perfect.